This video is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Stay tuned until after the video to learn how you can save 10% off of your order.
Some states have similar
Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to today's edition of Burnt Rubber. On this episode, we're going to be taking a dive into the next chapter of the 2311 Front Row Motorsports antitrust lawsuit saga against NASCAR. So, let's dive into that, shall we? So, in a move that was seen coming, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports have filed an injunction in order to keep their charters for 2025 while this antitrust lawsuit is taking place. There's quite a bit to get into. So, according to court filings in the 2311 Front Row Motorsports case, NASCAR has chosen their representative in this case, and that is Chris Yates. For those of you that don't know, he is an attorney whose client list includes the U.S. Soccer Federation, the UFC, World Aquatics, Fanatics, the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, and the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Although I think he's gone up against Jeffrey Kessler, who's 2311 and FRM's attorney, a couple times and lost. So hopefully, for the sake of the sport, it'll happen again. Because I said I don't know how many times that shit needs to change in this fucking company. But that's neither here nor there at this point. So, this was back on October the 9th. Bob Pock reported that the hearing on the preliminary injunction is set for October the 16th. Which at the time of this recording is tomorrow. But the time of this episode is coming out is tomorrow. In federal court in Charlotte, the judge has ordered NASCAR must respond by Monday, which is yesterday, and must respond by this Friday, which is, this was on October 9th, which meant a couple days ago. Respond by this Friday on 2311 FRM's request for expedited discovery. Ooh. Now, in addition to this injunction filing, they also presented some exhibits, some documents, which are letters that 2311 and NASCAR sent to each other after the final charter agreement offer. There's too much here to kind of go through everything, but basically the first letter basically tells that, you know, it's 2311 basically telling Steve Phelps, who's the president of NASCAR, that they wanted to operate under good faith negotiations, and they just feel like that NASCAR is not operating in good faith as far as their negotiations are concerned. And then NASCAR responded with their own letter, basically saying that they were, you know, basically disagreeing with 2311 on that aspect, and then also basically gave a timeline for all of the times that they tried to negotiate on this charter deal, which is a lot, which kind of tells you just how crazy this whole sequence of events is, when these entire negotiations on this charter agreement have gone all the way back to 2022. Like, the first known instance of this charter agreement being negotiated was June of 2022. Almost 2.5 years ago. And even though 13 of the 15 full-time teams have signed, a lot of them sounds like it was under duress and were probably coerced into doing so, which in the business world is kind of a no-no. But, I mean, 2311, it seems to me like Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, they decided to actually read the fine print, and possibly Bob Jenkins, the owner of Front Row Motorsports as well. They read the fine print of that charter agreement and were like, what the fuck is this? And like I said, if half of the things in that charter agreement are true, who in their right mind would want to sign it? Like, it's ridiculous. It's lunacy is what it is. So then the next couple of letters that you see, I'm putting it on the screen. I'm not going to go through every single last word because there's a lot to take in, but I'll put the letters on the screen so that way you can see them. And these are dated, the first one, let's see, it doesn't have a date on it. So the first one doesn't have a date. The second one, which is NASCAR replying to 2311, was dated September the 11th, 2024. And then 2311's response to that was 2 days later on September the 13th, 2024. And then NASCAR's response to that doesn't have a date. So I would imagine it was probably a couple of days after that. So, yeah, needless to say, there's a lot going on. So basically, why did 2311 and Front Row file this preliminary injunction? Well, they're doing so to compete in 2025 as a chartered team while the lawsuit is going on. Because NASCAR basically said, if you don't sign the charter agreement, you may lose your charters, which is all the guaranteed spots on the grid, the money that you get from the charters. It's guaranteed prize money, and a lot of other things. And basically 2311 and Front Row would be losing all that. So that is why they are filing this preliminary injunction to basically compete as chartered teams while the lawsuit is happening. And who the fuck knows how long this lawsuit is going to last? I mean, NASCAR is obviously going to try to settle and try to get, I think one of the reasons why this lawsuit is happening is 2311 and Front Row wants to get them back to the negotiating table and say, hey, a lot of these things that are in the charter agreement are bullshit, and it's not right. And a lot of the things that are in there aren't right, including that little provision that prevents disparaging NASCAR while under the charter agreement. And also, you can't file any antitrust lawsuits against them while under the charter agreement. I wonder why they put that provision in there. I wonder why. And they also have asked for expedited access to NASCAR documents and files on the 2025 charter negotiations. And here's the thing. The reason why I say NASCAR wants to get a settlement done, if that's the way they gotta go, is because they don't want this going to discovery. Because that would mean that 2311, Front Row, and NASCAR would have to open up their books, their financials. I think it's pretty clear that 2311 and Front Row are like, yeah, here you go. NASCAR, they do not want that to happen because that would open up an entirely new can of worms. I mean, that would basically be like opening Pandora's box. Because if all of those financials come out and what everything is that 2311 and Front Row Motorsports are saying is true, shit is going to hit the fan. But on October 9th, 2311 and Front Row issued a joint statement regarding the injunction. The 2311 and Front Row Motorsports teams are fully committed to competing in next year's Cup Series. Today's procedural filing is the next step in advancing our case against NASCAR and their monopolistic practices while protecting our drivers, race teams, and sponsors by establishing our legal right to run in 2025. So, the judge in the lawsuit against NASCAR set dates initially. Of course, again, this was on October 9th. NASCAR's response to motion for expedited recovery was due October 11th, which was this past Friday. NASCAR's response to the preliminary injunction is due October the 14th, which was yesterday. And then the preliminary injunction hearing was set for October the 16th, which is tomorrow. However, NASCAR asked the deadlines for response to be extended, as its Daytona offices were closed all week because of Hurricane Milton that decided to make an appearance. NASCAR notes 2311 and FRM didn't ask for earlier deadlines than the 2 weeks the court normally gives for response. NASCAR proposes November 4th for the hearing. However, 2311 and FRM wanted the October the 28th or the 29th. So, the judge on October the 10th in the NASCAR antitrust lawsuit case granted NASCAR's request to postpone the preliminary injunction hearing and was supposed to be Wednesday, October the 16th. But NASCAR asked for more time due to Hurricane Milton, so now it will be November 4th per a court filing. And also, NASCAR has filed to oppose 2311 and Front Row's request for temporary charters during the lawsuit. So the battle lines have been drawn for this lawsuit. It is going down. Where this goes from here, I honestly have no fucking idea. But one thing's for sure, we're probably not going to get anything else except little bits and pieces until that injunction hearing on November the 4th. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but ain't that championship week for NASCAR? Hell of a time for that to be happening if that's the case. But yeah, this is going to open up a giant can of worms. And all I can say is NASCAR better hope that the case gets dismissed or they get a settlement done, because they don't want this going to discovery. I guarantee you. I might not be much of a legal expert, but I know for a fact that if what 2311 and FRM are saying is true about NASCAR enriching themselves at the expense of these race teams, yeah, shit's going to hit the fan, to say the least. But that's going to do it for this edition of Burnt Rubber. Just want to kind of do this episode about this injunction that the teams filed, which was coming, to try to have temporary charters in place for next year while this lawsuit is going on, which you can kind of understand that. Will it be granted? Again, I don't know. I'm not a legal expert in this whole thing, but needless to say, the battle lines have been drawn, and the next 3 weeks are going to be really interesting, to say the least, in the NASCAR world. But that's going to do it for this edition of Burnt Rubber. Thank you very much for watching today's edition. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See you later. Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan letting you know that tonight's video was sponsored by Reaper Apparel Company. By clicking on the affiliate link down below in the description box, you'll be able to browse through many of their different wares, such as hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and other cool items. When you place an order and you go to checkout, be sure to type in the code PackerMan and you'll be able to save 10% off of your order. Reaper Apparel Company. Apparel to die for. Hey, ladies and germs, just want to say thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and also be sure to check out my second channel, Isaac the Survivalist. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.